Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Video Game Logic. I'm your host, Gaming Psychologist, and with me as always, my partner in crime,
Caffeine Rage.
On this week's episode, we're going to be discussing all the money we spent on the Steam sale, what games media we're plugged into, there's going to be no mainline Assassin's Creed game this year, and what games are we looking forward to in 2016. How are you today, sir?
Doing all right. It's been a kind of an off couple of days for me. Mostly just trying to catch up on sleep because I'm a bit of an insomniac.
Right. You're also nocturnal. I think we discussed that once before, but
I am the
repeat
night.
ourselves a whole bunch. Can you do like a grizzly Batman voice? Like, was that your best or?
Perhaps.
That's all right. It's better than I could do. I'll say that.
I need to work on it.
You
okay over
already?
there?
Nope, I'm not okay, but that's okay. So.
Well, if you need someone to talk to, I think I know someone.
Oh yeah? Who?
Your uncle.
Yeah. Sometimes I forget that he's also... Well, I guess technically he's not a therapist yet since he's not licensed, but he's getting there.
He needs to practice.
He's probably going to be my go-to, or my first choice for a fill-in if you're ever out for some reason. But I think that's really...
already planning to replace me, are we?
Absolutely. I mean, he is Australian, so... Yeah, that's how I sell this podcast, on voice gimmicks. So you've got a really nice, smooth voice. And then if you're ever gone, I'm going to get an Aussie. So he'll be able to sell it on the accent.
See, you just want me for my voice. You're no better than Biff.
I also want you for your stunning good looks. At least how I imagine them to be.
Boy, are you going to be disappointed.
Well, story of my life. Anyways.
Well, it's been a couple minutes. Let's get on to the games we played this week.
Right. As always, you can go first.
Well, a lot of what I played this week was actually stuff I picked up in the Steam sale. And since we're going to be talking about that later, I decided to actually talk about the games that I tend to play on a weekly basis. And that I'll usually just skip over because, well, I play them on a weekly basis. But this week seems like the best time to actually get them in.
Okay, so let me guess. No, let me guess. Warframe, which you already just said.
Yeah.
Binding of Isaac.
Yeah, that's my main two.
Okay, I was also going to guess Spin Tires, because I know you've played it a bit here recently.
Yeah, but I don't play it on like a weekly basis. It's more if I am in the mood for some off-roading. Right. Even though Spin Tires is probably something I should talk about sometime before too long, but not this week.
Well, you talked about it on our episode 0.
Yeah.
But we didn't really get super in-depth into it. I know that's a pretty deep game, so...
Yeah, as deep as the mud. Whew.
I wanted to make that joke, but I wasn't going to.
I'll go where you want.
Oh, my.
But
so, sorry.
Both of them are really, really good pick-up-and-play games for a short period of time, which, even though I have a lot of time to game... I tend to just get in the mood to play something for a bit and then move on to something else. And that's really where both of these games shine, both Binding of Isaac and Warframe for different reasons.
Okay. I'll pitch in on the discussion for Warframe. So do Binding of Isaac first, because that's not really a game that is for me.
Yeah, Binding of Isaac, I think it would be a lot more popular, not saying that it's not popular already, if it didn't rely on the gross out humor as much. But then again, that's Ed McMillan's kind of specialty.
Right. Yeah, it is pretty gross and grotesque looking, like, to watch it with no context.
Yeah.
That's not what turns me off to it, though. I don't care about that part. It's just, for me, again, it's a style thing. You know, it's that kind of top-down roguelike thing that's just not...
You require a third dimension.
I think I do require a third dimension. Like, when it comes to art styles and graphical fidelity, I don't care too much, but I don't like two-dimensional games all that much.
You just need some depth.
I do need depth. I mean, I'm a very shallow person, so I need depth in my life.
But getting back on topic for once.
Yeah.
Binding of Isaac, for those who don't know, it's a roguelite twin-stick shooter where it's sort of the styling of the old Legend of Zelda games, where each room where you're going through a dungeon and each room is like its little self-contained thing. And what really draws me into Binding of Isaac is one, the daily runs where every day there's essentially a leaderboard where you can compete on, even though it's hacked all to hell. But there is online alternatives to just the mess that the online leaderboards are. And also the fact that, like I said, you could jump in and get a quick run done in 30, 45 minutes. And the fact that it's going to be different pretty much every time. You will start seeing the same rooms over and over again if you play for about 300 hours like I have.
Yeah, you've got more Binding of Isaac videos on your channel than several of your other series combined.
Yeah.
Which is not a bad thing. I mean,
yeah, Binding of Isaac, like I said, it's one of those games that you can pick up and play, and each one of those videos is self-contained. So it's not... If you go in and see, like, Binding of Isaac 67... you could watch that and not have to see the other 66 before it. But for my other Let's Play stuff, if you catch the end of a series, you're going to have to see all the stuff before that, or, just jump in the middle of a story and not really know what's going on, because I tend to do more story-oriented content. Story-oriented content, I should say.
Yeah.
So that's kind of part of the reason why I play it on my channel, is just to have something that someone can jump in. It's sort of like a gateway.
Right. Well, my gateway to your channel was Pigsy's Perfect 10. That was really good.
And just the salt that flowed through that.
That's why I liked it. You got so salty.
Well,
Plus, that means that I never have to play that game now, because it doesn't look very good.
It wasn't terrible. It was just the fact... I think part of it was that there were some kind of glitchy things with it. We're getting way off topic once again.
Nah.
With
fine.
Clipping, there was a couple times I would hit a guardrail on a walkway, and he would just kind of clip into it and climb on top of it and completely blow his cover. It was a kind of a semi-stealth game. Mm-hmm. And also the fact that I was trying to play what's essentially a stealth shooter with a controller, and I'm not good at controller shooters. But
Right.
The rest of the game pretty much required the analog movement. So it was either be good at the shooter part, which wasn't a huge part of the game. It was in some sections, but not a lot. Or cripple myself during the stealth sections. But getting back to Binding of Isaac once again.
Carry on, sir.
It's one of those games, like I said, that you can just go back to over and over again and just really... it's what I call a podcast game, even though it does require some attention. Once you see the floors or the rooms so much, you kind of go on autopilot, and you can just listen to podcasts and play it at the same time. And that's probably another reason why I play it so much. That and Greed Mode, a mode that I don't have on my channel as much as the rest of the game, makes the game even more condensed and can be beaten in half an hour. And it's a nice change of pace for the game in general.
Half an hour is pretty quick to beat a whole game. Like, just beat the run, or actually beat the whole game?
Well, beat the run. Beating the game, that's... someone that knows exactly what they're doing, and I mean exactly, going from a fresh save file to 1001%, which is the name of the achievement for getting all the items unlocked and collected, which is as close as you can get to beating the game. The fastest I've seen is like 70 some hours, and that's someone with exceptional luck, knowing exactly what to do, and who is godlike at the game.
That's a lot of content, actually. I didn't realize that game had so much content.
A lot of it is unlocking.
Right. I watched... what's Matt Pat's channel?
I don't know him.
The Game Theorist. Or Game Theories, something like that. And he talked about the story that's inside of the game about Isaac and his mom.
It's kind of messed up.
And all of the imagery in the game. Oh, I ate that up. Like, the story is amazing. Like, there's so much in there that I can dig into with my psychologist eyes.
Oh, yeah. Just you seeing the different endings, I'm sure it would you would just eat that up.
Yeah, but the way he portrayed the game, I think it was expected that you knew how the game worked. And I just thought it was really short. I didn't realize it was that long and had so much stuff in it.
Yeah, there's over 200 items to collect, and a good chunk of them are unlockable, either through doing certain things like beating mom so many times, or collecting a certain number of coins, or performing a certain action in the game. And then there's the ones that are unlocked by beating the game with a certain character, which some of them are a lot harder than others. Beating it with Blue Baby, for example, who cannot get red hearts at all, which is replenishable health, is a lot tougher than beating the game with Isaac.
Yeah, I can imagine if you can't pick up some or all of the health pickups.
Yeah, well, there's one character that has no health.
Health. What do you mean, no health?
As in, one hit, you're dead.
Huh. Isaac is a bullet hell game, though, isn't it?
Technically, some of the bosses are more bullet hellish than the rest of the game, though. I wouldn't call most of the game bullet hell. Just some of the high-end bosses are more bullet helly.
Okay. That's difficult, though.
There is an item that you can unlock to start the character with that gives them 2 hits per room. The second hit kills you, which is easier, but not terribly so. And also, a lot of the runs with that particular character, they'll look for an item called the Dead Cat, which gives you 9 lives. So you could die 9 times, and then it's game over. And that's what a lot of people look for on the first floor or 2.
That's beneficial.
But yeah, that's Binding of Isaac. And I probably won't go into it too much unless someone asks me about it some more. But that's really all it is to it. I mean, it's something that I play listening to podcasts, or if I just want a quick gaming session, I'll jump into it. So let's go on to my other game that I kind of pop into for a different reason, Warframe.
Yeah, Warframe.
Yeah, this is one that you'll be able to jump into the conversation a bit more.
Yeah, we both started playing Warframe at about the same time. I had played previously, but only briefly.
Yeah, my only exposure to Warframe before that was Total Biscuit's video about it, and it didn't look too interesting, but from everything I've gathered, it's changed quite a bit since that original video.
Yeah. I played Warframe 2 years prior to when we started playing it for a few hours, and it had changed a lot that I could see, even for only playing for such a short amount of time.
Yeah, a lot of Warframe for me is I follow a Twitter bot that posts the alerts as they come up. So I'll see an alert that I want to do, and I'll pop onto Warframe and play that for half an hour.
Right. First of all, for anybody who doesn't know what Warframe is, it's a free-to-play third-person shooter where the characters that you have are basically space ninjas.
Yeah, essentially take Destiny, add ninjas, and make it third-person.
Yeah, that's a great explanation of the game. And alerts are like little challenges that pop up probably every hour or so.
It really depends. Sometimes you'll see a lot in a very short period of time. There's usually at least one going on.
Yeah, and they give you bonus rewards of some kind. Could be money,
and the
could
alerts
be an item.
And the alerts are broken up by planet or moon that you unlock as you progress through the game. And I've gotten, I think I've gotten all the destinations unlocked, but I don't have all the missions on each body unlocked. But I can see and get to most of the alerts in a pretty short amount of time.
Yeah, I'm still pretty far away from that. You latched onto this game a lot more than I did. I enjoy playing it with you guys, and when we stream it every Wednesday, shameless plug right there. But I don't play it, like I don't log on and play it for 20 or 30 minutes to do an alert. I don't play it a whole lot outside of when we're all together. I keep saying I will, and I should. I've progressed decently far in it, at least in unlocking the destinations.
Eve's kind of taking that spot for it, yeah.
Yeah, and before Eve, it was Space Engineers, and there'll probably be something else. I enjoy Warframe. I'm pretty good at it, but it's not my jam.
Well, it's also turned into a podcast thing for me, where I'll put on a podcast And for most of Warframe, it doesn't require a lot of attention.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly if you're going on an alert in a low-level area.
Yeah, or if you're just running general missions to unlock stuff or grinding for something, you're just like, nah, I don't have to pay attention to this. I've done it all 100 times before.
Yeah, I will say that Warframe is very grindy.
Yeah, super grindy.
Particularly drops for high-level mods, which is used to augment your Warframe or your weapons. Getting some of those are very, very painful. Thankfully, you could trade for them if you really want to through using the paid currency. But trying to get them otherwise, you're looking at quite a while, just based on your luck.
Yeah. It's got a pretty fair business model, though, as far as free-to-play games, though. Or as far as free-to-play games go. There we go. It's not all up in your face about, oh, you could spend money to get this thing or do this thing. They're just like, hey, we've got a store over here. If you want to spend some money and get some cool stuff, speed up your progress or whatever, you can.
I will say the price of their Warframes is a bit high, at least for my taste.
Yeah, most of them are 300 platinum, which works out to be what?
Well, I bought 75 plat for $2.50 with a 50% off, so $5 for 75.
Right. So 300 would be $10-15 if you don't get it on sale. I mean, it's got one of those things that the more you buy at once, you get like a little bit of a discount.
Yeah, but it's not that
super
much.
Great. No. So, you're looking at probably $15 a character. Some of the characters go on sale every once in a while, but if you want to get a Warframe otherwise, you have to grind out whatever mission that the parts are in. Most of them are in boss missions. Some of them are in high-level end content.
Some of them are more annoying where they're... in Warframe, you could create clans and build a dojo, which is basically player housing, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
And you could do research in there, but the Warframes that are in that require a resource that only comes from the alerts. So you have to watch the alerts.
Right.
Now, if you're in a more active clan than I am...
Yeah, basically our clan is... You lots of the time doing stuff, me sometimes doing stuff, and none of our other friends ever playing unless we're on.
Yeah, it's basically turned into my private research.
And sometimes I get to benefit from that research because you research something that I want, and I go, oh, I can just pay money to get it now. Like in-game currency, not real money.
Do we really have anything else to say about Warframe? Outside of,
so.
If you wish to play with us, shoot us a... direct message on Twitter.
Yeah, actually that was good. Our guild we're at the bottom, or I guess the base level of the guild, and we still have room for 5 more members before we have to expand it. And I mean, we would
just kick some of the idle people out.
Yeah.
Jim.
Yeah, especially Jim. I might have already booted Jim, actually. I don't remember.
I haven't really paid attention to the roster.
I feel like I was going to because he literally never plays.
Looking at the roster makes me a little sad because I see, I'll see you were on like 6 hours ago, probably just doing your daily log on reward, which that is something that they do is, thankfully they changed it where you don't have to log on consecutively, but every day that you log on, you get a little bonus.
Right. And it builds up to a special reward now too.
Yeah, I'm most of the way to the first tier, which, is actually very nice.
Sweet. Yeah, I don't know, maybe halfway to the first one, maybe a little less than halfway, because I don't log on every day. Sometimes I forget. But yeah, I think that's all we have to say about Warframe. Warframe. If you want to play with us, send us a DM.
If you want to join the
Twitter.
Warfray,
Yeah, if you want to join the Warfray, send us a DM on Twitter. You can send one to either of us. We're both like the top levels of the guild. I think it's called Warlord. Or you can send us an email, and we'll set you up.
Yeah, that'll be... I was going to say the email is vglpodcast@gmail.com.
There you go. Shameless plug.
Can we be shameless about plugging the stuff for the podcast?
Absolutely. You can just plug it over and over again. That's shameless.
Oh, my.
Games that I played this week. A lot of Eve. and then games that I purchased during the sale so that I could talk about them and determine if I wanted to refund any of them before my time ran out to do so. But mostly Eve, and since we're going to talk about those games later, I'll save the rest of them. I won't really say too much about it. I spent my entire week just mining things and setting up an industrial base where that I can make mad bucks. Today I built the closest thing you can get to a solo player mining base out in an asteroid field, which is basically just a lot of secure containers that nobody can get into except me, so that I don't have to run back to my station every time I run out of ore. I can just fill them all up and then come back in a transport ship and pick them up. I was very happy that I did that today. And then I spent the rest of my time today and yesterday when I played transporting loads of crafted or constructed materials to the local trading post. I mean, you can sell goods from anywhere, but there's spots where if you sell them from, you're more likely to get sales because players congregate there or new players spawn there, for example. And made a ton of money, and I got contacted by 2 corporations today who apparently were monitoring, just looking for new players that show initiative, is what they said. And because I put, how many items did I put on the market today? Several hundred. I should say you can only put a certain amount of individual items. Like you can only have so many different things for sale, but you can sell as many of those things as you want. And I can have 24 different items on sale right now. And I listed something like 1,000 different objects, like ships and ship parts and things like that.
Somebody's been busy.
I have been busy. And they were like, oh, hey, we see that you actually seem to care about doing this. We need more industrialists in our corporation, which is the same thing as a guild. Will you join? And I had recruiting conversations with 2 corporations, and they're supposed to be sending me all of the information on their corps. And I told them that I would consider it, but I'm much more of a solo player, so we shall see. If they offer me particularly a lot of blueprints for construction, I will definitely join them. And I won't just join, take all the blueprints and leave. That would be mean, and also they would hunt me down and kill me repeatedly. But I would stick around for a while, maybe a month or so, complete some contracts or tasks for them, however they have it set up, and then
leave.
And then leave, yeah. So that hopefully we would be on good terms and they wouldn't come murder me repeatedly. So that's it. That's the games that I played this week, aside from stuff that we bought on the sale. So
Eve sounds rather cutthroat.
Eve is extremely cutthroat. I mean, Eve is in actual news, like more than just gaming news, but legitimate news sites from time to time about how there will be these huge battles where people lose the equivalent of hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it's really hard to explain in just a few sentences how that actually works, but Eve is extremely cutthroat. I mean, there's actual spying that can be compared to real-world spying on these corporations. There have been guilds that have been toppled from the inside, like someone gets in there and gets a high enough rank that they can actually do some real damage to the guild by selling off assets or giving people passwords to get into secured things. And guilds have just been destroyed overnight by one spy who got in there and took them down. It's pretty crazy. But there's also a lot of really boring parts to Eve, so even though that sounds interesting, that happens once a year, and the rest of the time you sit out there and you blow up NPCs and mine asteroids. So,
yeah, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Eve is my favorite game to read about, but I'll never play it.
Yeah, it takes a certain kind of person to play Eve, which they've got a decent-sized player base. I think they've got 500,000 active subscriptions right now, which sounds like a lot, but compared to a lot of other MMOs, it's not much.
Well, also, it's just a single server, isn't it?
Yeah, they have one server.
Where is the server located?
Greenland or Iceland? I think.
Interesting choice.
I mean, that's where the company's based. I'm pretty sure they have it in-house unless they've moved it. I don't know. This could be our portion of misinformation.
Aki will just say, you're wrong, and then never tell us what
Never tell us what it is. Yeah, he told me I was wrong about skills last week, but I went and I researched how skills work. And I was like, no, I wasn't wrong. That's exactly how they work.
You weren't technically correct.
I guess. Being technically correct is the best kind of correct, so. Who knows? Doesn't matter. I'll just give Aki a hard time about it, and he can give me a hard time about it, and we'll move on.
Speaking of moving on, what games media are we plugged into? This is your topic, so you go first.
Right. So the reason I put this topic on here is I think it's important that our viewers know where we're grounded, because whether or not we realize it, we will be influenced by the type of media that we consume. And I think that's actually pretty apparent in our styles, because I know some of the stuff that you listen to and read, and you know some of the stuff I listen to and read, and we have similar styles to them. And so I just think it'll be good for our readers. Our listeners. They can learn something about us, and we'll probably learn something about each other. I'm definitely going to have some good outtakes this time. That's like 3 or 4 times that I've screwed up what I was saying. I promise I'm not drinking a giant margarita tonight.
Well, at least you'll have plenty of my laughs to go with it.
True.
Probably Biff's favorite part if he listens.
All right, so I'm going to go first. I've got a pretty long list, so let's see. Podcasts that I listen to. I listen to the Co-Optional Podcast. So I follow Total Biscuit everywhere, on YouTube, on Twitter. I listen to all of the random stuff he posts on SoundCloud.
Yeah, same here. Even though I follow Total Biscuit, I don't listen to the Co-Optional Podcast. And I'm not 100% sure why. I think it might just be Jesse. Jesse Cox. He just kind of rubs me the wrong way.
Right.
And he's on there most of the time, so, I just don't bother.
Yeah, he's not as bad... Or not, I guess he's not as Jesse on his podcast, or on the podcast, if that makes sense.
Maybe just I've picked some bad times to check them out, or check it out, I should say.
Right. Most of the time, especially in more recent episodes, as the podcast has matured, because I started listening at around episode 50. And as time has progressed, he's calmed down a little is the wrong way to say it, but it feels almost like he's matured a bit. And he's willing to let other people have their opinions. And also Total Biscuit and Dodger are much stronger personalities on that show than they used to be. So they can help keep him in check. The guest also... I don't know, the guests are kind of hit or miss. It depends on how outspoken the guests that they have on the show are as to whether or not Jesse runs all over them.
I guess I should give it another shot. Like I said, it's just... Jesse kind of rubs me the wrong way at times.
Right. Their 2 most recent episodes were them just discussing the end of the year stuff and getting into some really in-depth conversations about a lot of the heavy hitters of the year. I think those would be 2 good ones for you to go back and listen to and see, because there's just a lot of really in-depth conversation and it doesn't get too wacky or out of control. And that's more what it's like now than the older podcasts. But outside of Total Biscuit and the Co-Optional Podcast, I'm a huge fan of Jim Sterling. Now, I know that you are not a huge fan of Jim Sterling.
Once again, it's the personality.
Right.
I could take him in small dosage, but I guess it's just I knew people like that weren't parodies or weren't characters.
Right.
So it just puts me off. And I know that he usually has some interesting things to say. It's just...
If you don't like his character, like the Jim Sterling character on the Jimquisition, is that the Jim Sterling that you don't like?
Yeah.
You should listen to the Podquisition. He's much more toned down. I would avoid probably the first 15 or 20 episodes because Jim kind of carried the podcast initially. But once Laura Kay and Miracle of Sound started to become personalities of their own on that show, Jim kind of went back from being like, I'm Jim Sterling's son, to just normal Jim. And it's a really good podcast. Occasionally they still go off the rails and talk about weird stuff, but most of the time they have some pretty decent conversations on there. Actually, he might have changed it to the Jimquisition podcast now. I'm not sure. But it's good stuff as well. But from Jim Sterling, I love the Jim Sterling character. I think that's great. His kind of parody, over-the-top character that he does. And then I read a lot of his stuff on the Jimquisition.com. He writes a lot of really in-depth, thoughtful articles, and his reviews are actually quite good. He's set up a really nice, informative review scale, and it makes a lot of sense to have games reviewed in context, because a lot of times you go on IGN or whatever, and it's just like, oh yeah, we gave this game a 9, and it had pretty graphics.
Well, IGN, I have strong feelings about that, particularly some of the things that they've said. Like, you can't record PC video. They literally had a reporter say that you can't record video on a PC.
Right.
Granted, he went back and clarified, saying, no, you can't record it as easy as an Xbox, but there's a reason why a lot of people say you can't spell idiot without IGN. Or, I'm sorry, ignorant. Not idiot. Idiot was the reporter.
I was about to say, you definitely can spell idiot without IGN.
Ignorant. The idiot was the reporter.
Right. Other stuff that I listen to a lot of the Rooster Teeth content. The Patch is the main video game show that they do, but they talk about video games on a lot of their things. That's kind of where they got their start. They are kind of the most, well, not the most off on my list, but they're the most different from all the other people on my list because they're not hardcore video game reviewers or personalities. They're more, machinima and film and anime now. So they just have a different perspective on a lot of stuff. It helps keep me in check because a lot of times I'll get really worked up about some kind of issue and then I'll go listen to the podcast or the Patch, and they will be like, yeah, I could see where this would be a big deal, but, we're just gamers and we don't really care about that. And it just kind of helps keep me in check. Then I listen to the Destructoid UK podcast because I really like Laura K. Buzz, and that is her podcast that she runs. They've also got some good diversity on there. One of the hosts is gay, and he has some interesting and unique thoughts about a lot of things that happen in games media, so that helps me to have an even wider perspective of what's going on. They also have a section called Dad's Jokes Jingles, which is about really bad jokes, and it is
I see why you like this podcast now.
It's the best thing ever. I laugh at so many bad jokes and bad puns. Other than that, the only other thing I listen to on a regular basis is Polygon's Quality Control, which is they bring on the actual reviewer that reviewed a game. They've got a big list of games that they've done, but stuff like, today I was getting caught up, and today I listened to their Just Cause 3, Rainbow Six Siege, and their first game of the year. They're doing a 10 podcasts in 10 days describing their top games of the year. Mm-hmm. And they bring on the reviewers who did the review of the games, and they talk about them, and they ask them questions, more in-depth questions about things that they said, or comments on the review that were decent comments and actual questions. The reviewer will answer them. It's pretty good for the most part. It's got some, what's the right way to say it? A bit of corporate overlord in there. They dodge really tough questions a lot, which bothers me. But it is nice to, again, get that extra context from the reviewer, which is, again, why I like to go read Jim Sterling's actual written content, to get that extra context that he doesn't have in his videos. So I find that useful mostly. There's a few reviewers who don't pull any punches, and they'll be like, yeah, this game, that part absolutely sucked, and the developer should fix it immediately. But 9 times out of 10, they'll kind of give that non-answer and move on, which is annoying. But, not everybody can be Total Biscuit or Jim Sterling and just say whatever they feel all the time.
Yeah, I will say that they seem to be very rare in game review. Well, I should say game critique.
Right, because Total Biscuit doesn't consider himself a reviewer.
Yeah, even though he's a lot more of a reviewer than a lot of game sites are these days.
Yeah, I agree. So that's my big list. I do browse gaming news all the time on Reddit, which can sometimes be reliable. It's a lot of just fun stuff. I'll pop over to IGN, Destructoid, Polygon, Kotaku, every once in a while just to see what's happening. that's most of the games media that I'm plugged into. Is there anything on my list that either you want to talk about more or anybody
mine's
you have that I don't?
a lot more of a short list. I usually use Reddit as more of an aggregate, and I have like a total of a dozen subreddits I browse frequently for games news.
Right.
But the major ones are PC Gaming, Steam, Game Deals, PC Master Race. If you get beyond all the meme stuff, they really have some in-depth discussions over there.
Right. Yeah, I've started browsing PC Master Race a little more since you told me that, because I just couldn't get past all of their...
Yeah, there is a button at the top, I believe, to get past all the memes and just to get into the news. And like I said, if you could get past some of the snobbery, it is a really good place for some in-depth PC discussion, especially when a game like, let's pick one almost at random, Arkham Knight comes out.
That was not randomly picked at all, was it?
No, not really.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
But when a game that comes out that's just a complete mess, they'll really dig into it and give their, well, first of all, their opinion, but also try to figure out, okay, what systems does this run on? And try to break it down and give an actual really good discussion. It's times like that the PC Master Race subreddit really shines to me.
Right.
Then, other ones like games and gamers, that sort of thing. Just more general discussion stuff. And there are a few specialty subreddits I go to for particular games, but that doesn't really factor into this. This is just more general stuff.
Okay.
Podcasting-wise, I only really listen to 2 gaming podcasts. I listen to Crate and Crowbar, which has Tom Francis, and I'm blanking on everyone else on that podcast, which is terrible.
Crowbar. Let's do a quick search here. Crate on Podcast Addict, my app on my phone.
Yeah, I'm completely blanking at all the hosts' names. Probably a bad sign that I can't name the host on either of the gaming podcasts I listen to, because it's more just I listen to it in the background.
Right.
But also listen to some more of the general discussion.
Well, I just subscribed to it. They have 10 new episodes, it looks like.
Yeah, both them and KB Mod, or the 2 that I listen to, are pretty come out pretty much weekly. I don't think they really miss any weeks. But they're more general discussion and talking about some of the major stories that are coming out, but sort of the same idea that we have, where it's more of a general overview and they don't dive too in depth.
Right.
And the only really the only real gaming site I go to these days is The Escapist. Partly to watch Zero Punctuation every week.
Oh, I totally forgot about Zero Punctuation. I always let those go on for a while so I can binge watch a whole bunch of them at the same time.
Yeah, but even though I'm not sure if you should call Yahtzee a reviewer.
I would call him a critic, but not necessarily a reviewer.
Yeah, because he, even though he has it in a comedic sense, a lot of his critique of games is spot on, at least in my eye. How he'll just go off on a Call of Duty, for example, for being a yearly release again.
Right.
How he'll just go off on some of the sales practices of video games, or how developers and publishers are treating certain games. Particularly ones that have a protagonist called Laura Croft in them, as of recent.
Yeah, what's the blog he does, or his articles?
Extra Punctuation,
that's it.
I don't read that as much.
Yeah, I only read that from time to time.
Yeah, I read it occasionally, but it's a lot of good stuff in there.
Right.
And, of course, Total Biscuit, but we've already covered that. And that's really about it, media-wise.
You know, most of the stuff that I listen to or subscribe to is from people who are from the UK.
You're fixated on voices, aren't you?
I do have a thing for voices, particularly British voices.
You're going to replace me with Amy Kay, aren't you?
Maybe, but I like British men voices better, and she is, well, a she, so.
Well, not with that attitude.
Oh. Oh.
And for those who don't know, we're referring to the new co-host on the Kerbalcast podcast.
Right, which, good for them. Good for her. I'm looking forward to a New Year's
Oh, that doesn't
Kerbalcast.
sound sarcastic at all.
Well, I didn't mean it sarcastic. I apologize if it sounded sarcastic. I was looking at our topic list, and it just kind of came out that way. But no, I really am excited for a new year to see how she changes up the formula when she's there all the time. And I'm looking forward to my role, because I was kind of the B-level backup host, and she was the A-level, but now I'm the A-level backup host.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like I'm on the reserve roster at all, to be honest.
You should be. I mean, you've now got podcasting experience. When I started, I had 0 podcast experience. They were just like, hey, do you want to do it? And I was like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. But, that's how I got started. My phone is now over here vibrating. I'm downloading every episode of, what was it, Box and Crowbar?
Crate and Crowbar.
Crate and Crowbar. They only have 10 episodes up at a time on their feed. I'm guessing they have some kind of restriction on whatever hosting service they're using. But
yeah.
I'll go back
I will
and
say that
try and
out
find
of
an
the two,
archive.
I would prefer Crate and Crowbar because KB Mod tends to go off the rails a lot more.
Like we do?
Oh, well, let's put it this way. They had a discussion on what is a sandwich.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Over several podcasts.
Right. Well, I'm not really gonna get into that. But you know what I am gonna get into?
Our news topic of the week?
Nope. What games did we get on the Steam sale? We actually passed that one. We were supposed to do Steam sale, then Games Media, but it's okay. We'll backtrack to it.
Oh, okay. Well, go out of order then.
I mean, it's too late. We already went out of order.
Yeah,
I guess I could
all my fault.
I could cut all of this out and rearrange the 2 audio sections and just pretend that it never happened. I'm not going to do that. It's too much work, but I could. So, first of all, how many total games did you buy on the Steam sale?
I got 9 in total.
Oh, okay. That's not too bad. Wasn't that more than you had last week when you told me?
Yeah, I picked up another set of games during the last couple of days of the sale.
Cool. I got 12, technically 13. One of them was a 2-pack, or like a collection.
Okay, so shall we go swap back and forth between us?
Yeah, we'll take turns until you run out, and then I'll finish out. There's some of mine that I haven't played yet also, so I'll skip those.
Same here.
Okay. Do you want to go first?
Okay. My first one, which we talked about last week, was Sunless Sea.
Right.
Which I haven't gotten any more game time into as of yet. But it's a very, very interesting game to me. It's a story-based roguelite. Actually, it seems like the roguelike genre tends to call to me for some reason.
Yep. I mean, that's good, though. That gives us diversity, because I don't really care that much for roguelites and roguelikes. So.
But a quick overview, since we did talk about it before. Sunless Sea is a roguelite where it takes place in fallen London. Basically, bats have stolen London in Victorian times and have taken it underground to this partly procedurally generated undersea called the Z. And you're a captain of the Z, a captain on the Z, commanding a ship, and you're basically exploring and finding different stories, and you also have an end goal whenever you create your character. I think it's 5 different end goals?
There's a few, yeah. I don't remember how many they are, but there's several.
Yeah, and each one has a different path that you eventually have to take. It's an interesting game. It's very slow-paced, though. But I do have to say that even though the music isn't playing all the time, when it does play, it really punctuates the, I don't want to call it action, but the suspense. You know, the music starts playing while you're out in the middle of nowhere in the darkness, and you're starting to wonder, is the music playing for a reason?
Yeah. Very, very suspenseful. Great atmospheric game.
And since we talked about that last week, let's go ahead and kick off to you. What's your first one?
Right. The first one on my list is Jurassic Park, the Telltale game. The Telltale game is not the game. This is the game that kicked off Telltale as how they are known today. It's the first game in the Telltale genre, I should say. I haven't played it on Steam, but my mom actually got this game for Xbox several years ago, and I was at her house one time, and I started playing it, and I was like, oh, hey, this is really good. I have to say, it's pretty janky, like all of the Telltale games. I am not 100% certain, but I think that this is the original engine that all of their present games are built on. And this game came out in 2011, I believe. Someone can fact check me if they really care, but
Iconesis Gaming will just say that you're wrong.
Yeah, so
it's going to become our thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But it's showing its age, but it's a lot of fun if you like Jurassic Park. It's basically a longer version of the movie that incorporates a lot of stuff from the book, and then just some extra things just to be wacky and interesting and kind of tell a broader story than the movie did.
Yeah, from the first movie, right?
Yeah, from the first movie. It starts before the first movie happened. It starts before the events of the first movie and ends after the events of the first movie. It's another group of people who are trapped on this island, and they're basically just copies of characters from the movie. But it's a lot of fun. I expect to play through it and do a Let's Play series on it eventually. It's on my list of games to play like that. I don't think that it's actually episodic. I think that it's just one long game that's broken up into sections that you can kind of stop at. But it wasn't released episodically to my knowledge.
Yeah, it's one of the few Telltale games that isn't episodic.
Yeah. So, if you like Jurassic Park and if you like Telltale games, it'll be right up your alley. If you like Jurassic Park, it might be up your alley. If you don't like Jurassic Park, don't bother. Even if you like Telltale games, if you don't like Jurassic Park, don't bother with this one. It's the oldest and has the most problems, and then the subject matter won't interest you. So, your turn.
Okay, my second purchase. I'm still on my old set of games I got the first week of the Steam sale. Star Wars Battlefront. Oh, wait, sorry, the second one. No, not a sequel to the current one. I mean, the old second one.
Such a bad forced joke, but it's funny. Yeah.
Oh, that's what happens whenever you have you rename games to be what the original one was of the series.
Right.
But to be fair, calling the current one Battlefront 3, I should say, it should be free considering the amount of content in it, would be kind of disappointing because it would make you think that there would be some sort of progression, but that's a rant for another day.
Well, they named it Battlefront, just Battlefront, because there's regression.
Yeah, true. I haven't played a ton of Battlefront 2 as of yet. I've only played through the tutorial, which is very, very screwy on my computer. The terrain looked like someone took a tie-dye shirt, ate it, and then threw it back up.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
an interesting image.
It was just some sort of weird driver thing with my video card. But then again, my video card tends to be wacky at times anyway.
Right.
But I did play a little bit on the single player for the campaign, and I think the gameplay actually holds up very well. It's not going to be a stunner graphically because it's nearly 10 years old now.
Yeah, it came out in 04 or 05, so it's at least 10 years old.
So it's not going to have the same staying power as the current Battlefront, but it does have the gameplay, and to me, that's what's more important, is actually having something to play.
Absolutely. I played Battlefront for like 1 million hours when I was younger and had an original Xbox. Both Battlefronts. I played it so much that I unlocked all kinds of stuff that I didn't realize you could, like upgrades to your character and starting like more powerful weapons. And I have played it for probably 10 hours on PC. I bought it on Steam last year. They had a big Star Wars sale when all of the
probably
old Star Wars
4th.
games. Yeah, probably. They re-released a whole bunch of the old Star Wars games on Steam, like X-Wing and TIE Fighter, and they had them all on sale, and it was probably May the 4th. But I played it for 5 or 10 hours. It is a little janky at high-definition resolutions. It just predates that era, but the gameplay still holds up really well.
Yeah, only downside about it is that you need a third-party program in order to be able to do multiplayer, because the GameSpy servers have been down for several years now.
Right? That does suck, but we should put that together and play some Battlefront. Even if we don't actually wind up doing it for like one of our multiplayer streams. Me and you should just play some just for the heck of it.
Yeah, it sounds fun.
Can you do Galactic Conquest mode in online multiplayer?
I haven't researched it enough to know exactly what the co-op content is or the multiplayer content is.
I know you could play Galactic Conquest local co-op, but I never played it online. At that time, that was before high-speed internet was in my area, so...
Well, if you do it through LAN, you could probably do it through something like Game Ranger.
Fair enough. You could do it on LAN for sure, so...
Yeah, so there's probably a way to do it.
We can make it work. Galactic Conquest mode is what makes Battlefront 2 so good.
Okay,
anyways,
you're up.
Right, I'm up. I closed my list. Here we go. Another Telltale game, Poker Night 2.
Ooh, I like that. A Poker Night at the Inventory.
Yeah, but it's the second one. It's a lot of fun. I played it a couple of years ago again, another game I played on Xbox, and I enjoyed it. And I've been looking for a good game, a good poker game, and I remember that it was very good. It had AI that was not stupid. A lot of times in poker games, you can trick them by going all in all the time, and you can just bluff your way through anything. But they have really, I don't know how they did it, but they have a really sophisticated AI that doesn't always, fold. I think they've just programmed them with different personalities.
Yeah, Poker Night at the Inventory, both the first and the second one, instead of having a generic AI, each character has their own tendencies. And if you go all in all the time, you can trick particular ones. But some of them are smart enough to see a pattern or to know that, okay, my hand's strong enough that I could likely beat you even if you've gone all in.
Right. And I just love the characters that are included in it, like GLaDOS and Sam and Max and some others. If you've ever played
Ash, Sam. I'm trying to think of who else. I know Glass is the dealer. I played it ages ago.
Yeah, well, I don't want to... If you've never played it, I won't spoil it, but...
Well, it's not really spoiling it to say who the players are, though.
Yeah, but they're so fun. They've got such good personalities.
Oh, Brock Sampson and Claptrap.
I love Claptrap. So good. But watch the intro. Don't skip it. Watch the intro. It's so good whenever you walk in.
And I would put on the list, if you enjoyed this one, go back and pick up Poker Night at the Inventory 1. Right.
Yeah, it's good as well.
The main difference is just a different set of characters.
Right. I think that the graphics are a little better. I don't exactly remember.
Yeah, it is a little bit better, but then again, Poker Night 1 has different graphical styles for the different characters, while and Poker Night 2, everyone is basically the same, with the exception of Brock.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
So Poker Night 1 looks a little bit rougher just because they have more conflicting styles. You have Strong Bad next to the Heavy from Team Fortress 2. Those are two very conflicting styles.
Yeah. But, I mean, when it comes down to it, it's a poker game. It doesn't really matter what the graphics look like. It looks neat. It looks really neat. That's the best way I can describe the way that the game looks.
Yeah, I will say probably the weakest thing about Poker Night is that eventually you're going to run out of dialogue, so you're going to hear the same thing over and over again. Thankfully, you could skip most of the dialogue.
Yeah. And when it comes down to it, it is a very good poker game. Like I said, the AI is not stupid, so it once the dialogue gets annoying, just turn them off, skip it, and you can still enjoy the game itself.
And plus, if you're a Team Fortress 2 player, or for Poker Night 2, Borderlands 2 player, there's unlocks in it as well.
Yeah.
Okay, next up is a little game called Orbit. This is one that I tend to like to pick up just little goof-off games. And this is one of those where it's essentially a mobile game, which I got for less than $1, if I recall correctly. And what you are you're a comet, and you have to orbit planets. And playing Kerbal Space Program really kind of screwed me up at first because Orbit, it has it where you point where you want to go and click, and it shoots off in that direction. But playing Kerbal Space Program for so long, I had it in my mind that, okay, that's going to be my thrust vector. I'm going to go the opposite way.
Yeah.
But once you get beyond that, it's not a bad little... I want to call it like a light puzzler or like a physics puzzler.
Right.
Where you have to... it's not technically a puzzler, though. It's a score attack puzzler, I think is the best way to put it, because there is a puzzle element of doing a certain way to get a high score, but it's not required outside of unlocking skins, which some of them do get benefits. Like, you could turn your comet into what's essentially the magic school bus. And it has a particular benefit. Or a starship that just happens to look like the Enterprise.
Oh, yeah, Enterprise.
Yeah, it's not a bad little game. There's not a lot to it. But then again, like I said, it's a little goof-off game that was very cheap. So back to you, Jared.
Okay, the next thing on my list was the Just Cause 1 and 2 collection. I mostly bought this for Just Cause 2, but it came with Just Cause 1, 2, and the DLC, and it was only like a quarter more than Just Cause 2, which didn't come with the DLC. So I thought, what the heck, I'll just buy it and get everything. I love the Just Cause series. If you're not familiar with it, it's a third-person...
Mayhem simulator.
Yeah, Mayhem Simulator. That's the best way to describe it. It's an open world, and there is a story there, but really your one goal is just go around and blow up everything that you see. And
Why? Just Cause.
Exactly. It's a lot of fun. It's got a lot of good mechanics. The physics are neat. And the third one just came out, so although it doesn't really matter which one you jump into, the stories are so throwaway.
Yeah,
and they're
really
all the same, really. It's you go somewhere, they say, hey, this place is ruled by an evil dictator. Overthrow him. Well, how do you overthrow him? You destroy everything on the island. Military, civilian, doesn't matter. Blow it all up.
Yeah, really the only difference between the games is graphical fidelity.
Yeah.
That and a couple of the tools, like, was the second one where they introduced the hook shot?
Yeah, the second one has the grappling hook.
Yeah, so you could basically be like a reverse Spider-Man, deploy your parachute, a hook shot, and just drag yourself along the ground flying, sort of parasailing.
It's one of the best ways to get around, honestly. It's faster than running. It's faster than a lot of the cars.
Yeah, and I have to admit that I may have put a mod into my Just Cause game that makes the hook shot, or grapple hook, or whatever you want to call it, give a range of something like a kilometer.
Ooh, that's nice.
So it's more yoinks in a way instead of just grab to the tree.
Right. And that's really all I have to say about Just Cause 2. There's not a lot to it. If you enjoy running around blowing shit up, game for you.
Okay, and I'll take back over with another roguelite game, Heavy Bullets. This I actually had a coupon on, so it was something like 50 cents.
Okay.
The coupon actually stacked with the Steam sale, which was a little surprising to me, so that's why I picked it up. It's a first-person roguelite game where you're running around essentially a dungeon, and the hook of this game, the little gimmick that they have, is that the gun that you shoot, the bullets that you shoot, are very, very limited, and whenever they hit an enemy, they'll basically bounce off and then roll around on the ground, and you can pick them up and reload them into your gun.
Okay.
So it's a very limited resource, and it's essentially a revolver. So you have, I think, like 6 shots total. So it really forces you to be precise with your shots and to make sure that you can recover them. It's an interesting little game. I haven't played too far into it. I've gotten to the second of, I think, 6 or 8 levels.
It sounds neat. What did you say it was called again?
Heavy Bullets.
Heavy Bullets. I'm looking it up. You can keep talking.
Well, like I said, there's not a lot to say about it. It's just a little roguelike game that... I will say that there are a couple jerk enemies. There's a snake that'll hide in the bushes. It looks sort of like a lo-fi jungle in a maze.
Yeah, that's pretty trippy. It'd be interesting to play this game high. It actually might be kind of terrifying.
Yeah, shame you didn't play it when you were in Colorado, huh?
Yeah. That looks kind of neat. I might check into it a little bit more and see if it's something I might be interested in. It doesn't immediately turn me off because it's a three-dimensional game.
You needed your depth.
I did need
That's
my
really
depth.
all I have to say about it because, like I said, it's just a little game that I picked up for cheap that I had my eye on for quite a while.
Right. Well, next for me then is Space Run. Space Run is a tower defense game that adds several new aspects to it. Essentially, you have a cargo ship, and you have to make a trade run, and enemies come and attack you. And the tower defense part is that you can build onto your ship as you're flying, give it more defense turrets so that you can defeat enemies and destroy things like missiles and asteroids much quicker. You can give it shields to protect your cargo. You can give it more engines so that you go faster. And there's a few other things you can do. And so not only are you a moving platform that can evolve as the mission goes on. I mean, you can change anything. It's not like you only have certain tower points that you can place like in a lot of tower defense games. But on top of that, you have bonus objectives, such as getting somewhere in a certain amount of time. So maybe you should focus more on speed to complete that bonus objective, but it makes it harder because you can't fight the enemies off as much. Or you have to protect a certain amount of cargo, or you might have to complete a mission with a bonus objective by only having, say, 4 guns. So you have to figure out how to build your ship to complete the mission with only 4 guns. It's really interesting and fun, and I've played it for 2 or 3 hours already, maybe 4, and I've really enjoyed my time in it, and I intend to keep playing it. I think it could get repetitive at some point, but there's a lot of in-game content. There's different corporations that you can align with that give you certain bonuses, and there's a lot that could happen with it, and I'm just not far enough in the game to say for sure whether or not it's just repetitive and boring, like if it gets that way. But in my initial playtime, I've really enjoyed myself.
Okay, it's my turn again.
Yes,
and this is one I haven't played as of yet. And it's also another one I had a coupon for, so it was dirt cheap. Lunar Flight.
Lunar Flight. I think I've seen that game, but...
Yeah, you're essentially doing cargo runs on either the moon or Mars with the lunar lander.
Right, yeah, I have seen this game.
Yeah, I can't really talk too much about it because I haven't played it as of yet. It's been kind of down on my list. But it looks interesting, and like I said, it was dirt cheap, so I threw it in. It's essentially a sort of a spiritual successor to the old Lunar Lander games.
Mm-hmm. Which I have played. I like Lunar Lander. It's a neat little arcade game. Tough, too.
Yeah, and I'm imagining this will be tough as well. I know that there's a lot of upgrades. I know I saw Scott Manley playing this for a bit.
Right.
And you could get very realistic where you have to... There's a realism setting or a realism difficulty where you can't use any of the exterior cameras, game cameras. You have to be basically in cockpit and just use the controls and whatever cameras that are available in the cockpit. I'm probably not going to do that.
That sounds needlessly difficult. I mean, if that's your jam, then by all means go ahead. But for me, that's just like, no. Oh, thank you.
You know, well, it's sort of like people in Kerbal Space Program doing full missions from cockpit without ever looking at even the map view.
No, thank you.
No, but go ahead and take off on the next one because I don't really have a lot to say about Lunar Flight as of yet.
Okay. Next on my list is Windward. Windward is a Age of Sail. I was about to say roguelite, but it's not really. It's just got random map generation. That's the only part of it that's like that. But it's an Age of Sail game, and you generate a map. You can pick from one of 4 nations, which each have unique bonuses and special ship types. And you just roam around and explore. Did I say it was multiplayer?
No, you didn't.
Okay, it's multiplayer. It's multiplayer focused. You can play it single player offline, but it is multiplayer focused. And basically, it's just a world that you help grow. As you do trade runs between the cities, they will grow. Or if you help a city, for example, overthrow pirate lords that have taken over, then they also can grow. And the four main factions are warring with each other. And so your ultimate goal is to help your faction grow enough to defeat all of the other factions. And I've played it for a few hours just trying to get a grip on it. It's actually a pretty simple game to learn, but I feel like it's one of those games that are going to be simple to learn, difficult to master. Because once you leave your initial starting areas, things get crazy with the amount of pirates and enemy ships that are trying to kill you. The trade runs get ridiculously profitable. There's quite a few ship types and a lot of customization. It's also really cute. The items all have unique names and little cutesy pictures and stuff like that kind of, I don't know, just it makes the game more accessible. If you've got the crew what have scurvy, like that's an actual crew that you can have, then you get a lot of negatives, obviously, because scurvy is bad. And it, but you know, it's just like a picture of some guys and they're holding oranges that are bad, and their name is the crew what have scurvy, and it's just really cute. And it's like, oh, they've got scurvy, how sweet. But it's a lot of fun what I've played so far. I'm hoping to find some people to play it multiplayer. As of right now, I've only played it by myself, and I'm scared to join a random server. At least right now.
Shame you didn't mention this during the sale. I would. It's actually on my wish list.
Oh, well, it's only like $5 right now. I might buy it and gift it to you. As I've said before, $5 is kind of my throwaway game money. So, but it's been on the weekly deal a few times. It just never got cheap enough for me to buy. And then on the Steam sale, it was less than $1. So I was like, yeah, I think that's
the one word I'm looking at. It's 15.
Oh, is it 15 right now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then $5 must have been the sale price. I must be thinking of another game. Whatever. $5 is my throwaway game money, and I bought it. So, but I'm happy with my purchase. If it ever goes on sale again, I'll buy it and gift you a copy, and we can play together.
All right, sounds fun.
Your turn.
Okay, this is another one that I haven't played as of yet, and this one I actually picked up from my YouTube channel, so I haven't gone too in depth on it. It's called Consortium.
Okay.
It's supposed to be a first-person RPG, sci-fi. And like I said, I haven't gone too in-depth on it because I'm planning on doing it on my Let's Play series. And I like to kind of go into these things blind. I found it on a list of hidden gems.
Okay.
On, I believe, Reddit. People talking about it. And it had a lot of good reviews. It's $15 right now, but I think I got it for less than $1 or less than like $2.
Yeah, that would have been roughly 90% off. That's pretty good.
And, well...
Oh, hey, Consortium is on my wish list. Well, maybe I should buy it.
Yeah, it seems like it's a first-person, like, spy game.
Right.
But it was in my throwaway zone. It looked interesting, so I picked it up.
Well, you'll have to let me know how good it is. I might actually buy it or take it off my wish list.
Well, like I said, I'm planning on doing a Let's Play series on it sometime, so I'll let you know when I'm playing it.
Okay. Next on my list, I have not played this game yet. It's Crash Drive 2. It's sort of an open world. It's not exactly open world. There's 4 levels, but the levels are supposed to be quite large. Car racing and stunt game. And it's got quite a few vehicles to unlock. You can unlock things like tanks and ice cream trucks and just all kinds of neat stuff. Drive them around, be silly. It was $1 on the Steam sale. And it had been on my wish list. I was like, yeah, I could use a really good, silly game to just blow off steam in, 20 or 30 minutes at a time. So I picked it up. But I haven't played it yet, so I don't know how good it is.
Yeah, this is essentially your version of Orbit for me.
Yeah, pretty much. Your turn.
Okay, mine is one I've actually played, and it's from your list from last week.
And which game was that?
Well, technically, it's not a game. Here's Rise the Prodigy.
Oh, nice! You picked it up. Have you played it yet?
I've done a complete playthrough once of it.
Okay.
And I will say that pick it up on sale because the writing on it, it's a little janky. For those who don't know, it's essentially a choose your own adventure novel. No graphics at all, no sound at all.
Yep.
And I will say that they could have really used a night mode where it's white text on black instead of black on white. because I was reading it essentially just laying in bed with my notebook, and it was a bit hard on the eyes. So that's a little bit of feedback, is that they need some sort of night mode or dark mode.
I don't think any of their games have that now that you say that. I've never experienced that problem, but
I was playing in the dark, just playing a bit before going to bed.
Right. Well, what I was going to say is, but I play them almost exclusively on my phone with a dim backlight, so it's not as much of a problem. But
I was playing on my notebook with the screen turned down as dim as it would go, and it was still kind of bright.
Okay. Yeah, I will say when I tried to play the one that I bought while I was on my trip on my laptop, it was pretty bright, and I was like, oh, this is different. But I adjusted to it pretty quick. I think I turned on a lamp next to me or something like that and just kept playing. But I do see that that's an annoyance and something that they should consider.
Yeah, story-wise, it wasn't bad. I do wish that there was a little bit more freedom. Perhaps maybe making it where you could build your own character instead of having a set of powers.
Yeah. If you play the sequels, that's part of the overall story because it's a trilogy.
Yeah, I've only played the first one so far.
Right, but so you mostly enjoyed it, but you had a few complaints? Is that
the writing was a little bit hokey, and I have a major problem with the ending, which I won't talk about here. We'll talk about this off recording.
Yeah, I want to know what ending you got, but we'll do that off recording.
But overall, it wasn't bad. I would say probably one of their other ones would be more interesting if you weren't interested in heroes.
Yeah, they've got everything. Pirates, love story, superheroes, robots, business, like being a CEO. They've got one about being a ghost, mechs, a lot of stuff, a lot of variety. I think I said that the Heroes Rise was where they started to make a lot of improvements in their series.
And the subject matter interests me.
Yeah, so I also said that you should pick them up on sale because they're too expensive, as they are. On mobile, they're like 99 cents, and that's right where that price is for those.
Yeah, I think it was about $1 on sale.
Yeah,
I'll probably pick up at least the next one, the trilogy, next time it goes on sale.
Normally, they're like $3 to $5 on Steam. I don't understand why they charge that much, except maybe just because they can. But they're usually 99 cents on mobile, and that's the right price for them, unless that's the sort of thing that you really love, in which case, buy them at whatever price you want.
Yeah, I think it took me about 4 hours to get through a playthrough.
Yeah. It's about how long it took me, 3.5, I think. Yeah, it was 3.5, because I played the first one on the flight from Tennessee to Colorado, which is about a 3-hour flight. Plus, sitting around at the airport. So probably about 3.5 hours for me to play it.
All right, your turn.
Next on my list is Starlight Tactics. This is another game that I have not played yet. I like a lot of space RTS strategy tactics games, which I know is multiple genres, but just everything that falls into that genre I like. Starlight Tactics is a turn-based space combat game, which I have not played one of those in a long time. Actually, I can't remember the last turn-based space combat game I played. Maybe Civilization, or not Civilization.
Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri?
No. The ones that were actually in space. I'm drawing a blank right now. I've got them in my library.
Only ones I could think of in that genre that I played recently is Flotilla and, depending if you count or not, FTL Faster Than Light.
FTL kind of counts. I'm looking at my library right now for it. I'm going to read this title and I'm going to go, I don't know why I forgot this. Obviously, I'll edit out all of this silence as I look for it. Hang on a second. Where are you? Here we go. Galactic Civilizations 2.
Okay, I put that more in the 4X category. I didn't really consider it to be like space turn-based combat.
Well, it is more of a 4X, but the combat in the game that you do has got a turn-based element to it. Depends on how you play it, actually, because there's multiple ways to do combat. But that's the last thing I played that had any sort of turn-based element to it at all in space. So I just wanted to try it, and it was cheap. I think it was $1.50. I lost my list because I went back to my library. Normally it's $10, and when I bought it on sale, it was $2.50. So 75% off. But it looks good. It's got a lot of positive reviews. So hopefully it is good.
Okay, I'm up. Another one that I haven't played as of yet, adding to my collection of platformers, called Just Get Through. It's a procedurally generated platformer.
Haven't I seen you play that? Or have you just like turned it on and then not actually played it? I
turned it on and get the cards from it.
Oh, okay.
Because the way that the Steam refunds work is that if a single game in that purchase goes over the 2-hour mark, the rest of the purchase is invalid for refunds.
Ah, I did not know that.
And since that's in my purchase with Heroes Rise, and I already played 4 hours of it, may as well get the cards from the others.
Right. Makes sense.
Yeah, this one was another one that I found in the Hidden Gems list. And it looks interesting. It's a 2D procedurally generated platformer.
Mm-hmm.
That looks... I'm not sure how it handles as of yet. I haven't actually played it. I just fired it up for cards. Because like I said, it's no longer eligible for the refund, so may as well.
Right.
But it reminded me a lot of, graphically, of Super Meat Boy. And it's supposed to be very tough.
Doesn't sound like it's up my alley at all, but...
Sometimes I like a punishing game, what can I say?
Yeah.
Even though I never beat the Dark World in Super Meat Boy, I did beat the light one.
I didn't beat any of Super Meat Boy. I played a demo of it, or played it at a friend's or something, I don't remember. I know I played it for like 10 minutes and went, yeah, this is not for me. But it again hits all of the things that I don't like. 2D, platformer. just not for me. Next on my list is Sword and Crossbones, an epic pirate story. I actually refunded this game. It is a turn-based pirate game with where you combat other pirates and the navy and all of that, and you have an island that you have to build up and turn it into a pirate base. And the whole point of the game, I think, is to go and rescue this girl that you have a crush on, who gets captured by another pirate. But the gameplay was awful. The turn-based combat was so weird and janky, and the UI didn't work properly. Like, I would click on something and it wouldn't do anything, and then I would randomly click beside it and it would do the thing that I wanted it to do. And the music was awful. And there was only one song.
Ugh.
In 1.5 hours, I only heard one song. So I was like, yep, I'm done with that, and I refunded it.
Yeah, there's not a lot of negative reviews on it. Granted, the negative reviews are not helpful. It's in that low end of the bell curve of where Steam reviews are kind of helpful.
Right. So, I don't know if the UI issue is just the resolution I was trying to play it on, but if your game is a modern game, which this is, it's just got an older kind of 8 to 16-bit art style. If your game is a modern game, it should work on a 16:9 aspect ratio. So, your turn.
Okay, and this is my last one.
Okay, I have 4 left.
So you'll be talking for a while after this.
I can make it quick.
Oh my. My last one, which brings my total amount to $19.21.
Okay.
Is Please Don't Touch Anything.
I have seen you play that.
Yeah, this is one I played a bit. I want to call it like just a random puzzler with a bit of the like humor from Papers, Please.
Okay.
You start off with just a control panel and a giant red button in the middle, and you're told, please don't touch anything while I go to the bathroom by the guy that's actually supposed to be controlling it.
Okay.
And as you touch the panel and do various things, various switches and things appear. Like you press the button, I'll give away one ending. There's like 20 some. You press the button and a little switch comes up at the bottom of the panel. You flip that switch, press the red button again, and you have this monitor at the top showing the view of a city. And you just see a nuke going off.
Oh, I see a screenshot of a nuke, or what looks like a giant explosion.
Yeah, a mushroom cloud, and you get the and you get a poster on the wall saying "I love mushrooms."
That looks pretty cute. Is it just like a silly game that you can?
Yeah, it's kind of a silly game. It basically combined like Big Pixel, which is this very short point and click game with a bit of like the dark humor from Papers, Please.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's very stylistically like Papers, Please.
Yeah, you can see on the screenshots the initial button, and then as you do different things, different panels show up, and it's weird.
Interesting.
You could probably, if you had a god, beat it in under an hour. But if you play it the way you're supposed to, by just doing random things, hitting the button and realizing, there's an arrow here. I wonder what happens if I click that and just follow that around. It'll take you a while to actually beat.
Well, this one's going on the wish list.
Yeah, I would say it's probably best. I'm not sure if it's a mobile game, but I imagine it would be an amazing mobile game of just, sitting around doing random shit.
Let's take a look. Is there a failure state? Like, can you lose, or is just blowing up the city part of that?
No, it's just doing random things and having the city blow up or freeze over or whatever.
Please don't touch anything as the number 2 result on Google Play. Oh, it is a mobile game.
Yeah, I imagine it'd probably be a bit better as a mobile game.
$5. I'm going to add it to my wish list, and next time I want a game on mobile, I'll pick that up.
Like I said, it's just a weird random game that I found once again just in a hidden gems thing.
Right.
That's tended to be what I do is I look at people saying, oh, this is a hidden gem. This is kind of cheap. It's not worth the full price, but it's worth the $1 or $2 that it's currently on sale. And I'll pick it up and check it out. And Please Don't Touch Anything really was kind of in that vein of, oh, that looks interesting. That's probably not worth the full price, but it's worth the, like $1 or $2 to just mess around with.
Right. So, next on my list, which is just going to be me for the rest of it, I suppose, Among the Heavens. Very misleading title, I think. I haven't played it yet, but it's a game that's a mix of kind of a Facebook game in terms of like you have to manage things and there's a lot of timers and all that, but it's a puzzle game. And you have to manage a tavern in a fantasy setting and make it profitable, and all of the tasks are puzzles. So it looks like a lot of fun. I actually love puzzle games. I have a ton in my Steam library, and they're just fun. Like whenever I need a game to play for a couple hours, I will play a puzzle game.
Yeah, it looks like it's mostly match 3, right?
Yeah, looks like a lot of match 3 stuff, at least from the pictures. Like I said, I haven't played it, so.
Yeah, it doesn't have a lot of tags on Steam, but it does have the match 3 tag.
True, but a lot of puzzle games get the match 3 tag, even if they're not actually a match 3.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a generic puzzle tag that people use. But it looks fun, and it's normally only $3. I think I got it for less than $1 on the Steam sale. Actually, it should show me if I go look at my recent marketplace purchases. It cost me 50 cents.
Not bad.
Next on my list is Bad End, another game I haven't played. This is a visual novel. Visual novels are big kind of guilty pleasures of mine. I have a lot of visual novels in my Steam library. I think I've got about 10, and I have tons of them on my wish list. But it's kind of your standard visual novel. You go through, you make choices, decide which girl you want to date, try not to get killed by the monster.
That is a very, very cheap visual novel.
Yeah, it's regularly $2. I got it for less than $1.
Yeah, usually visual novels are a lot more expensive than that.
Yeah, I tend to wait for visual novels to get down to around $5 or less because a lot of them are pretty short and don't have much replayability. So I was pretty happy to get it for $1. Next on my list is Diabolical. Diabolical is another one of the choice of games, and it's about being a villain. I haven't played it, no idea exactly how good the story is, but it was made around the same time, I believe, as Choice of Heroes, or whatever it is. I always call them Choice of, because all of their old games are Choice of whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that habit has kind of stuck with me, but looked like a lot of fun. I was wanting to pick up one or two of their games. They didn't have a great sale on a lot of their games, but I still got this one for $3, and it's normally, I believe, $5.
I'm looking at it. It's $4 right now, so.
Okay, so it's normally $4. But I saved $1 on it. And then my last game, this is the guiltiest pleasure game of all. I've only got a couple of games like this.
This is going to be good.
Drum roll.
Oh,
that works. I was going to actually insert like a really crappy drum roll soundbite, but that fits the bill perfectly. Poker Pretty Girls Battle Texas Hold'em. Yep. This is unedited, folks. He's really laughing for this long.
That is so ridiculous.
I love Honey Pop. I like the Mahjong one. There's now a solitaire one. I mean, I know Honey Pop is different from this, but I mean, it's the same kind of general. They fall in the same kind of general like guilty pleasure area. They're just like so stupid and ridiculous, but they're actually good games underneath. And it's just like you have this ridiculous concept with an actual fun game underneath it. It's like I can't resist. So far, I haven't played it. I ran it through Idlemaster to get the trading cards. They're very valuable trading cards, actually. Most of them are 30 or 40 cents a piece. So even though it cost me $2.50, I made about half of that back just on the trading cards.
Yeah, it looks like most of the complaints are that there's no tits in this.
Yeah, I don't really care about that. It's just a cutesy, dumb, fun game. Love it. I'm sure there's a cracked version somewhere that has full frontal nudity, but whatever. I love it. And that's my whole list. I spent...
What was your full damage?
My full total was $32.24. According to my Steam purchase history, the normal price for all of those games would be $112.87.
But remember, PC gaming is expensive.
Very expensive. So I got, how many games did I say? 13?
Yeah.
For less than for about half the price of a regular price full retail game. That's pretty
I spent
good.
just under 20 and got 9, which a few of them are just throwaway titles.
Yeah. I wish, I did buy EVE Online. I was going to say, I wish I bought some other stuff, but I bought EVE as well. So, actually, I spent like $50 because the version I bought was $20 on sale. But still, EVE Online has already gotten, according to Steam, let's see how many hours it says I played.
All of them.
101 hours.
But to be fair, aren't you running that patcher most of the time?
Yeah, I just leave the launcher running all the time. Or not all the time, but most of the time. I've played for probably half of that, which is still 50 hours.
Yeah, we're going to have to schedule intervention.
Nah, I'm good.
We'll just get you another poker game full of anime girls.
What I do with it, honestly, because of the way that I play EVE, is I'll just set up a whole bunch of actions, either like set up a trade run or something like that. And even though it's dangerous, I'll hit autopilot, and then I'll leave it alone. And it'll take it, a half an hour to do its thing, and then I'll come back and I'll set up the next thing. But I usually do that if I'm trying to play during the day when I'm working or am home with my family, because I don't want to get a divorce. I love my wife very much. And she would definitely divorce me if I actually sat in front of my computer for 50 hours and played EVE.
Or sit in front of your computer for 50 hours and play anime Texas Hold'em.
Yeah, that would get me divorced too. Really though, if I sat in front of my computer for 50 hours and played a video game, I'd get a divorce. Doesn't matter. Just like 50 hours straight. Be like, okay, either you go to therapy or I leave.
Well, on that dark note,
time to move on. I forgot what was next on our list. I have to pull the topics
the
back
news.
up. The news. Yes. So this one was from me as well. I found this very interesting. There's not going to be one of the main Assassin's Creed games to release this year. There's still one of the side ones, which I can't think of what it was. Do you have the article pulled up?
No, I don't, because that would be professional.
Okay, let me pull it up here real quick. According to this, the Assassin's Creed Chronicle series, which is their side-scroller, is due this coming year. There's one in India and one in Russia, according to GameSpot, which is where we have the article pulled up.
Yeah, and I think we should say that this is heavy on the rumor. From everything that I could find, the actual source of this rumor never gave details on, or, never gave credentials on that they were actually who they said they were.
Right. Okay.
So this is just pure rumor mill.
Right. If it turns out to be true, though, I will be very happy about that fact. I actually do like the Assassin's Creed series, and controversially, Assassin's Creed 3 is my favorite in the series. But around... Black Flag was the last really good one that changed up the series.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I've heard, is that Black Flag was the last good one, and that was because it was kind of not an Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah, Black Flag really wasn't an Assassin's Creed game. It was a pirate game that had parkour in it. And it was great because they really changed up the formula. And then with, what was the one that came out last year that was a disaster?
Unity.
With Unity, they went right back to the same formula and made a worse game. And then Syndicate
A broken game.
Yeah, a broken game. And then Syndicate was better in terms of its brokenness. And it had a few things like having the female lead character and a bit better story in comparison to the last couple. But overall, it was just another Assassin's Creed game. I think the series really could use a break where that it would drop out of the forefront of the AAA gaming market for a while, let people kind of forget what it is, and then come back out. Even sticking to the same formula, doing that, if they stayed away for a year or two, I think would be really good for their image. But honestly, if they could be gone for a year or two and then make some really big changes to the series, revitalize it, then I think that would really give them a bump in sales, give them a bump in their PR, give them a more positive image, because they've got a pretty negative one right now.
Yeah, the Assassin's Creed series is, 8-9 years old, and it has 20 entries. If you combine the side series with the main story, or the main series, I should say. I'm not sure if there's a actual connected story anymore.
The first three were the first 5, which was Assassin's Creed 1, the Assassin's Creed 2 trilogy, and then Assassin's Creed 3 were the main bulk of the story. There have been themes that have carried on through all of the games, but those 5 games were the real meat of the original story. All the rest of them have been mostly self-contained with just some kind of common threads throughout them, at least as far as I know. Assassin's Creed Black Flag was the last one that I played in full. I have messed around with the other 2, but I got fatigued on the series, and I've just been waiting for something like this to really change it up. And I'm not into side-scrollers, so I've missed all of those games. There was another one that came out on 360 last year. Was that Syndicate?
I'm not sure. I'm probably the worst person to talk about with the Assassin's Creed series because...
You are the worst.
Let's just put it this way. I played the first one, and I was utterly bored, and I never bothered with the Assassin's Creed series again. I will say that the first one was an amazing tech demo, but that was about it.
The Syndicate is the newest one, so I'm gonna get angry emails. Here we go. Assassin's Creed series. Black Flag. Rogue. Rogue was the one that came out that was on Xbox 360 and PS3 only.
I think they eventually ported to PC.
Yeah, it might be on Steam or PC.
Because I remember people talking about another Assassin's Creed coming out after Unity, and that this one isn't broken.
Rogue was supposedly good. I haven't touched Rogue either. Just, again, like I said, series fatigue. Yeah, it's on Steam. But supposedly it's kind of like Black Flag Light. It borrowed a lot from the Black Flag series, from what I understand. But that's really all I had to say about it. I'm happy if it's true. I realize that it's a rumor, so it might not be true or might only be partially true, but I am happy if it's true. I think it'll give that series a much-needed publicity boost and potentially a much-needed facelift.
Yeah, I think they really need a break from the yearly release cycle. And the article did mention the possibility of Watch Dogs 2 coming out instead, which is a whole nother kettle of fish. I didn't play Watch Dogs, but everything I've heard from it has basically been meh.
Yeah, Watch Dogs was pretty meh, although I think that's Ubisoft's fault. They built it up like it was going to be this amazing new revolution in gaming and all of this other stuff, and it looked amazing, and they didn't deliver on any of their promises. Going back and looking at it in hindsight, it was a pretty good game. Not a great game, but a pretty good game that was let down by being overhyped. And honestly, even if it wasn't overhyped, it wasn't what they promised.
Yeah, they're hacking. You could have replaced the cell phone that the protagonist used that, blanking on the name, I think his name was Blandy McBlanderson?
Aiden Pierce, but yeah, he was a pretty bland character.
Well, anyway, Hawkeye Pierce.
That's actually a better name, Hawkeye Pierce.
He could have replaced his cell phone with a sonic screwdriver and had the exact same hacking. There was... everything I've seen made the hacking seem like just Doctor Who.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. You know the little hacking minigame in Warframe?
Yeah.
It's a lot like that.
Yeah, but the thing is that I'm not pointing at the console with a cell phone and having it just magically open. I have to actually do something with it.
True. Yeah, it was an alright game. When I played it, it was kind of meh. Looking back at it, it was alright. Not great, not bad. But that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, I think both games just need some more time to cook.
Yep. So next on the topic list, games we are looking forward to in 2016. Now what we did was you and I both went and looked at a variety of lists to try and get as full a picture as we could of all the games coming out, and we picked 5 each. And originally we thought that they would probably all be similar, but we very briefly discussed this before, and they are all different. Except maybe one. We didn't actually tell each other the games that we picked.
Yeah, I tended to lean more towards the indie side of things, while you
leaned more towards the AAA side of things.
So this is going to be interesting. I have one AAA game, which I'll kick off with, which I'm expecting to be on your list. If it's not, I'll be surprised.
Okay.
XCOM 2.
Yep, that's on my list.
Yeah, if it wasn't on your list, I would have been shocked.
Yeah, I'm so looking forward to that game. I'm so excited. I like the original XCOM. I got into it a bit late in terms of as when it came out. Like, it came out in, I think, 93 or 94. I didn't play it for the first time until 2009. So it was a bit hard to get into, not because I found it too difficult, but because there's just so much that the game doesn't tell you and expects you to either know or figure out, or perhaps it's in the manual, but I bought the game digitally, so I don't have a manual. But I do like it, and then the re-release of XCOM, which I've talked about a couple times already, I love that game. It's so good. Such a good spiritual successor / reimagining.
Yeah, it's good to see that the sequel to XCOM follows the storyline that I set forth, where I failed utterly.
Yeah, I'm kind of annoyed at that because I won hardcore. Like, I'm the kind of person that played through on an Iron Man run and beat it. And was like, yeah, take that, alien scum. So I'm kind of annoyed, but I'll get over it because I'm not sure. I hope that the game is at least as good as the previous one.
Yeah, I think part of my problem was that I tried to babysit a particular set of countries a little too much, and I didn't spread things out as much as I should have.
Right.
That, and I think, I think my base management wasn't quite up to snuff, but also, if you get screwed on your Steam placements, you're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, if they're buried too far down, you can't keep up with power. Unless you get really lucky and are able to build an alien reactor really early. I can't think of the name of it, but the alien material-powered reactor pretty early. Those are powerful.
Yeah, and I think I just didn't spend enough time with it, so I just never... It's one that I need to go back to, and I'm probably not going to get XCOM 2 on launch because I think that they'll do an expansion that'll add a lot to the game, so...
Yeah, they did that with the first one, which... I forget what the expansion was called.
Enemy Within.
The Enemy Within, yeah. The Enemy Within was a great expansion, but... I don't know. I'm really tempted to buy it on launch, but I usually only buy 1 or 2 games a year actually at launch. And there's another couple of games on this list that I'm really excited for and might buy at launch. So it'll be tough. It'll be tough.
Yeah, and let's just put it this way. Firaxis games tend to be better post-launch.
Very true. And they do have great support as well, so it's not just like one of those things where they are broken and they fix it. They do have really good support. So, looking forward to it.
And I imagine that was also your number 1 on your list since it releases before too long.
It actually was number 2. I just ordered my list by release date. I didn't actually put them in like a ranking other than that. But it was number 2. The first game on my list is Homeworld, Deserts of Karak, or Karak, or however you pronounce it. I've been a huge fan of the Homeworld series since its inception. I bought the Homeworld Remaster collection on release. I have beaten both games, have played lots of time in multiplayer and skirmish mode by myself and all of that. So I'm very excited about this game from a lore perspective, just learning more about what happened before the first Homeworld game, seeing how the civilization was, how they thrived on the desert planet before they got basically exterminated. I'm also interested to see what they do with a ground setting. Are they still going to include 3 dimensions, for example, for the air portion, because there are fighters that have been shown, and perhaps some kind of underground piece, base building, or perhaps vehicles that can go underground? Or is it just going to be more like a traditional top-down real-time strategy game? Either way, I'll like it because I love Homeworld and I love RTS, but I would love to see them do some interesting things with a 3-dimensional space like they did with Homeworld and Homeworld 2.
Okay, and I'll take off with one that was actually announced fairly recently, and I know little about it, but I'm probably going to pick up on launch because I'm playing it on my channel. Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus.
You would.
I'm playing it on my channel actively, so...
Yeah, and you really like it too.
Yeah, there's not a lot known about this game as of yet. It's going to actually offer mod support to the game. So it's going to actually give a lot more replayability, not that there's a lack of it right now, to Binding of Isaac. But outside of that, it's kind of a mystery right now, even the price of it, or when it's even going to launch. So it's a complete mystery so far, and it'll be one that I'll learn about during the year and most likely make a complete fool about on myself on the channel.
Sweet. All right, next on my list is going to be a divisive one, I think. Let me preface this, first of all, by saying that if you hadn't gathered from my previous discussion about Watch Dogs and other Ubisoft titles, I'm very hard on Ubisoft. And honestly, when it comes to playing games on PC with Ubisoft, I hate them as a company. Uplay is one of the worst things in the PC gaming space. So, I say with many reservations, the third game on my list that I'm excited for 2016 is Ubisoft's The Division.
That was one that I had on my list for a time until I went sort of towards a more indie bent. It's an interesting one.
It just looks... Good is not the right word. Interesting isn't even the right word. I think it's just intriguing. It feels almost like a social experiment in games with how it's structured in, so much backstabbing being a part of the game, and it feels honestly like they're trying to port some of the PC MMO experience onto consoles. I mean, I know it's releasing on PC as well, but to me, it feels very much like an MMO, at least what I've gathered from E3 demonstrations and such. And I know that it's just a third-person online multiplayer shooter, but it feels like they're testing the waters with some MMO portions in console gaming. And it looks like a really interesting premise. It looks like it could be a lot of fun. And thanks to my experience with Watch Dogs, my expectations are a bit more tempered than they were before. When I originally saw this game, I was like, wow, this looks so amazing. And now I'm like, well, it looks really good, but we'll see, But honestly, I think that if I bought it, I'd probably buy it on Xbox, just so that I don't have to deal with Uplay on my PC. I know that Uplay will still probably be a part of the game, but on
you'll
consoles,
likely need an account no matter what.
Yeah, but on consoles, usually you can just tie a game, an account to your gamer tag, and just say, just use my gamer tag for all of my stuff. So then I won't really have to deal with it. I can just hit, use my gamer tag for my account.
Yeah, I will say, even though I think playing a shooter on a console is a bad experience, at least in my experience, it's probably the safer bet community-wise, because you'll have a lot more players there because there's fewer choices.
Yes, that is another thing too. I don't think that this game will do well on PC unless it really is a masterpiece, which comes from a lot of... And I think that because of what happened with Watch Dogs, and then the last couple of Assassin's Creed games have been underwhelming, to be polite. Syndicate hasn't gotten as much negative as the other one
Unity.
we talked about. Unity, thank you.
I'm not the one that plays Assassin's Creed, and I know this.
I'm struggling. I've blocked it from my memory. That's how bad it was. That's what it is. But still, they didn't get a lot of goodwill back with Syndicate, so I don't think that they'll do well on PC for a number of reasons.
Isn't this also the one that's supposed to have tablet support for controlling drones and that sort of thing?
Yeah, was one of the things that they've said at E3. I haven't heard anything about it, though, in a long time, so I don't know if that's still a thing or if they just kind of quietly let it go or what.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, but it does seem like it's a game custom designed to piss me off.
Honestly, I probably will buy it at launch, just to get in and have that experience with it. It comes out in March, so I've got a few months to get through some of my other backlog. If I buy XCOM 2 at launch, that's a whole month to get through it. So we'll see. I'm definitely going to be buying it. I just don't know if I'll be buying it at launch or not. Speaking of definitely buying, every game on this list is a game that eventually I will buy and play. I just don't know if they're going to be launch or not.
Yeah, for mine, it's a couple of them are kind of iffy. I want to see how they do, but they're ones I'm looking forward to seeing how they do.
Right.
Next up is one that I heard about just today that looks very, very interesting.
Okay.
Pray for the Gods.
Pray for the Gods.
It's essentially Shadow of the Colossus on PC.
Huh.
This is done by a 3-man team, an indie studio called Node Matter Studios. And it's built in Unity 5, and it looks gorgeous.
Is it Pray or Prey?
Prey.
Okay, that's why I didn't find it. Pray for the Gods.
Yeah, so far, all I've seen is just a trailer for it. And it looks a lot like a high-def... it looks a lot like a high-def Shadow of the Colossus set on a snowy island. It looks amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Not sure how it's going to play, but...
I just went to
it's one that I'm going to be looking out for.
I just went to their website, and the picture that they have is very evocative of the Shadow of the Colossus box art.
Yeah.
Just a guy standing there staring up at this giant monster. So I'm very intrigued in this. Is it going to get a Steam release or?
It's supposed to be focused on PC, so if it doesn't get a Steam release, I'll be surprised.
Okay.
And according to their FAQ, it's just a 3-person development team.
Well, if 3 people did this, it looks beautiful. It's very stylistic, actually. I like that. That's a good way to go if you're a small dev team. Don't go for like the highest of the defs. Pick an art style.
Yeah, right now it doesn't have a release date, unfortunately.
Well, it looks good. It might get my money. I'm gonna put this one on my radar.
And based on everything I've read about it, it does look basically Shadow of the Colossus, where they're talking about essentially a boss rush style game where you're fighting only bosses and no little minions.
Right. I really like Shadow of the Colossus. It's a good game.
It's one that I've never actually beaten. There's just something about the music in that game that, I know this is going to sound rude, but it puts me to sleep. It's just so damn relaxing going between the Colossus.
Nothing wrong
or the
with
Colossi.
that.
You know, just on your horse, going across the fields. There's just something about it that, you know, just makes me start to nod off.
Right.
I mean, it's amazing design, but...
Next on my list, Mirror's Edge Catalyst. I played the first Mirror's Edge and loved it, and have been wanting a sequel or another game in the series, because there's debate on whether or not this is actually a sequel or not. And the name Mirror's Edge Catalyst doesn't directly tell us. If someone has said that it's a sequel for sure, I haven't heard it, but I loved Mirror's Edge. It was so quirky, the art style was so gorgeous, and first-person parkour where it was more than just press A to climb the wall was a lot of fun. And it presented you with a lot of interesting and unique challenges to overcome. And in some cases, there were multiple paths. The levels were fairly linear, but there were some places where you could do branching paths. And if you were better at one type of parkour, or if you were better at one skill, or even if you were better at combat than parkour, you could choose your route and sort of pick your battles. It was a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to this release. Probably not a launch game for me. I really want to see how it does in reviews first. Because
I imagine this is going to be an Origin-only game.
Probably, but I would be willing to put up with Origin for it. I guess I could also get it on Xbox. Mirror's Edge plays fairly well with a controller.
Yeah.
Since it's
it's essentially just a platformer with some gunplay in it.
Yeah.
At least the original was.
Yeah, and there really wasn't very much gunplay either. It was a lot of martial arts stuff. You were more apt, or you were better served most of the time to just either run past or quickly disarm your opponent rather than sticking around and fighting with them, because they were, very clearly more powerful than you. But I'm looking forward to this one. It'll be, I feel like, a nice breath of fresh air, as long as it hasn't been ruined by EA. It'll be a nice breath of fresh air in the middle of the year. Something different.
Let's just put it this way. Eventually, EA ruins everything. It's just a question of, have they ruined it yet?
True. Hopefully they haven't ruined it yet. Because
I've seen the comics of, them taking Maxis out to a cliff and saying, this won't take long. And he looks down at this little kid avatar with Maxis on his shirt, looks over and sees all the corpses of various studios that EA's killed over the years as EA shoots them in the back.
I haven't seen that, but that's both hilarious and unsettling.
And truthful.
And truthful, yeah. All right, what's next on your list? This is your last one, right?
No, next to last.
Oh, okay.
Heat Signature by Suspicious Developments.
Heat Signature, okay.
This is not really a sequel, but it's made by the same guy, Tom Francis, who I've mentioned before. He made Gunpoint, and his new game, Heat Signature, is essentially a stealth game where you're taking control of spaceships.
Okay.
that are all procedurally generated. You'll hate it. It's 2D.
Yep, probably hate it. Unless it's a puzzle game. I'm okay with 2D puzzle games.
It's kind of puzzly. I mean, it is a stealth game, so there's puzzle elements there, you know. If you kind of stretch the definition of puzzle game.
Right.
But the idea, the details on it are very fuzzy right now, just because it's still in early development. It may not come out in 2016, so it's kind of a iffy list.
Okay.
Where you're taking contracts to take over ships, to assassinate people, and all the ships that you're boarding are all procedurally generated, based on certain rules. You know, there has to be a cockpit and a engine room and that sort of thing. But all the hallways and stuff are generated on the fly for each ship. And just some sort of procedural generation just kind of scratches an itch where, oh, it's this ship again. You're not going to get that.
It looks interesting. I'm browsing through this stuff on their website. I would give it a look before I just said no. There's very few games to me that are just like, no, absolutely not. Or, you know, absolutely yes, but I would give it a look. It doesn't look like it's for me, but it looks like it's got a really interesting premise, and if the mechanics are good enough, I can get past the fact that it's a top-down game.
Yeah, it's still, the info is still kind of sketchy yet, so we'll find out more during the year, but it's one that I'm keeping an eye out for.
Sweet. I will also keep an eye on it, too. I'll probably sign up for the mailing list after this, just to watch it a little bit.
All right, did you have one more, or since I hit one of yours, or?
Yeah, I've got one more. My last game, which is a definite must-buy for me, is Halo Wars 2.
Oh, boy.
I am a huge fan of the Halo series. I'm not your, Halo's the best thing ever and can do no wrong sort of fanboy, but I love the Halo universe. And that
Are you going to teabag me because I never played Halo, or never played Halo beyond the first one on PC and kind of found it meh because it was on PC?
17-year-old me would, but adult me won't. So, just don't go back in time and you'll be fine. But the thing that I like most about Halo is that it has this entire universe that has sprung up around it. Books, comics, visual novels,
cod pieces,
short stories. It got anime at one point. It's had an actual full-length movie made of it. Just so much lore in this game. And that was the thing that I liked the most about Halo Wars, was that it was an exploration of lore in the game as much as it was an RTS. And as far as RTSs go, it was average to maybe slightly above average if you compared it to other console RTSs. If you compared it to a PC RTS, it was mostly garbage. But comparing it in context, it was better than a lot of RTSs I've played on console. And if they keep the same sort of system and do a good job with the lore and the story like they did in the last one, it will be great. And because I love Halo and was disappointed with Halo 5, hopefully Halo Wars 2 can redeem the Halo series a bit for me. And it's also coming to PC. It says Windows 10, so I don't know if it will get released for other Windows
probably
OSs.
The Windows Store.
Yeah, probably the Windows Store, which makes me sad. If that's the case, I'll just buy it on Xbox. Because I don't like Windows 10 very much. And I thoroughly despise the Windows Store.
Microsoft spying on every move you make?
No. I hate...
But then again, I should stop talking about the Kinect.
Nope. I don't have a story about Kinect, but I have a story about Windows 10. So I put Windows 10 on my laptop to try it out, determining whether or not I wanted to put it on my main PC. And I signed into my Microsoft account. It's like, hey, do you want to sign in your Microsoft account? You can connect your Xbox Live profile to your PC, and you can monitor stuff from there and check your messages. You can do remote play from your Xbox to your computer if you want to, and it'll automatically download drivers and stuff for you. And I was like, yeah, okay, sure, I'd like to, especially on my laptop, which can't game for crap. I was like, yeah, sure, I could play some Xbox games on my laptop every once in a while. Might get me to play my Xbox more. And so I signed in, and it was like, okay, your password has now been changed to your Windows ID password. I was like, I didn't tell you to do that. It just did it, and I can't find out how to change it back without desyncing my account. And that immediately just is like, nope, I'm not putting this on my main PC. I'm never going to put this on my PC. I'm going to hold on to Windows 7, kicking and screaming until I die.
Well, I'm pretty much going to have to upgrade at some point just because DirectX.
Yeah, eventually. Well, I don't have a DirectX 12 compatible graphics card. So
I thought pretty much most of them were DirectX 12 compatible.
Nope, I'm on the last graphics card before they went to DirectX 12 compatibility. Like, I'm one step down from having a card that can operate on DX12.
Sheesh, even my old graphics card could do DirectX 12.
Nope. For some reason, the GTX 750 can't do DX12. If you go up one to the next model, which I think is the 760 or the 770, you're fine. And I think if you go down to the 680, you can do DX12, but the 750 can't do it. I don't know why, but it can't.
Okay, my final game, if you're done with Windows 10 stories.
Yeah, I'm done complaining about Windows 10.
Okay, this one, I'm not expecting a lot from gameplay, but the style of it just makes me want to see what they do with it. It's a 2D platformer, so once again, you're going to hate it, called Cuphead.
Oh, Cuphead. I'm actually familiar with Cuphead.
It just looks so interesting.
It's got... Sorry.
The graphic style of it, they went with a 1930s over-the-top animated style, and on all the trailers and everything I've seen, they've nailed their styling.
Yeah. I saw a lot of coverage of it from this year's, or last year's E3 now, I guess, since it is January of 2016. And the game looks really good, but it doesn't look like it's for me. You know, like I said, or like you said, it's 2D platforming, a lot of that stuff. But it does look like it would be a good game for me to watch a Let's Play of, just because of the art style.
Yeah, I'm expecting a completely run-the-mill 2D platformer with combat. Mm-hmm. But the art style, I think, is what's going to sell a lot of copies for this game, just because it looks so different from everything else. Because there's just in the indie scene, everything's retro. You know, retro pixel graphics. I could kill a moose with the number of pixel games I have on my library.
Yeah. Yep. And I get really sick and tired of that graphic style just because there's so many games that do it. But this is a retro style that I don't think we've ever seen in gaming before.
Yeah, I'm coming up blank on trying to think of anything that's even remotely like this. Now, I will say that some pixel art is good. There's a lot of games out there that does it really well. But I'm happy to see something different. And I'm hoping it kind of pushes developers to think maybe older cartoons would be a style to look at.
Yeah, I'd actually love to see a game made with a kind of late 80s, early 90s anime style.
That'd be an interesting one.
Yeah. I really like that style. It's one of my favorite style of anime. But there's so many different, art styles out there. There's so much to pull from history. And I know it's a little bit harder to pick an art style that's like that, that's a little bit more unique. And I'm sure it is a lot harder to do than your 8-bit stuff, but 8-bit's been done. It's been done so much that the market is so oversaturated with 8-bit and 16-bit. I would say 16-bit as well. Yeah. And it's not that those games look bad. It's just that that's the go-to style for indie developers, and it's time to expand your horizons a little bit.
Well, the problem with picking an odd style like this is that you have to sell it. If they did it half-assed, it just wouldn't work. But Cuphead has done it where even they put filters over to make the game look a little grainy, which I'm sure some people are going to hate. And they're just selling it so well. I'm hoping that the final game looks as good as this. Like I said, I'm completely expecting a pretty much run-the-mill 2D platformer combat game. But the art style. Right.
Yep. I do plan on watching a Let's Play, and if I enjoy it, I will buy a copy of the game to support the developers, even though I'm pretty positive I would never play it. it looks so good. As long as they've done a good job with it and haven't half-assed it and have only shown us, the best stuff in their trailers and all that, then I'm more than willing to give these guys money, even if I don't actually want to play the game, just to promote diversity in the market. So those are the games we're looking forward to in 2016. Next on our to-do list is this week's mail call. And there's the silence.
I'm hearing crickets.
Yep, we didn't get anything this week, which is okay. I will say that we have gotten some comments on our YouTube videos. I've gotten a couple of tweets, not just from Aki. So thank you guys who are listening to us and contacting us. We are taking the feedback that we've been given on board, and we appreciate the support. I have so far only received positive comments and helpful suggestions for how to do things. I will say that I've been asked a couple times about iTunes. We're working on it. We are waiting on our final art to actually submit for approval. And
I thought I gave you that.
No, you were still working on it the last time you sent me a link to your...
Okay, it's pretty much done. Don't think there's anything else I could really do to it.
Okay. Well, give me that, and we'll submit it this week, and hopefully next week's will be on iTunes. I don't know how long the approval process takes, but from what I've read online, it usually is pretty quick. And then hopefully that will solve the problems of the RSS feed not working in certain podcast apps. I don't know how to fix that. I have run it through several kind of scrubbers that check your code and make sure that everything looks good. And all of them have given me a green light. So all I can say is maybe just try manually inputting it one more time, because I did make some minor tweaks to it to try and clean it up even more. So hopefully it works for you guys. Otherwise, iTunes is coming soon. So all that leaves us with is our closing topic, our Steam Weekly Deal discussions. I have to say that, just coming off of the Steam sale, this is very meh. But, if you missed
it's a sad week coming off of the major sales.
Right, but, the Steam sales, the weekly deals must go on. So in case you missed a game during the sale or are looking for a recommendation for something that's still really cheap, we have got you covered. I did 2 this week, 1 positive, 1 negative.
I have 2 positive.
Okay. I'll go first. The first one I picked was Yet Another Zombie Defense. I actually have a Let's Play of this game on my channel. It is a isometric, top-down-ish, horde-based, or horde mode shooter, where you build just a tiny little base and defend it from zombies. And as you kill zombies, you get more money and can buy better guns and better defenses and stuff like that. If I was paying full price for this game, I'd be really sad. But currently it costs 50 cents on Steam, and this game is definitely worth 50 cents. I played it for 2 or 3 hours, had a lot of fun with it. You can play it multiplayer with some friends for a couple of hours, have some laughs, and then move on.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that the cards make up most of that price.
Yeah, the cards are worth 10 to 15 cents a piece, I believe. I think you get 4 cards, so you'll get most of your purchase back out of it. What's on your list? Or the first game on your list?
Okay, my first one, even though we just talked ill of pixel art and video games, Void and Meddler, a point-and-click pixel art game. This is one that I intended to play on my channel, but it was giving me some weird things with my recording software, so I just ended up having to ditch it, unfortunately. It's probably going to show up some point later if I can figure out what's going on there. It's a very, very pretty game, I should say this. It does pixel art very well. It's not just throwing a crappy filter over some bad art and calling it a day. It is very pretty.
Yeah, it looks like a very good game. It's a pixel art game that I'm actually interested in, and it's on my wish list. It's a little bit farther down on the list, so
yeah,
I haven't purchased it yet.
I haven't played too deeply into it just because I was intending to do a series on it.
Right.
The story is supposed to be a very, very weird one, I should say this, and this is an episodic game, so only the first episode is out right now, with the other 2 coming out sometime during 2016.
Okay.
And before they completely reorganized their store page, they listed sci-fi authors like Philip K. Dick as influences for the story. So I'm expecting it to be very, very weird. Let's put it this way. In the very, first half hour, you run into a literal cat person.
Sweet.
Yeah, there's some weird themes going on. And the main protagonist has completely lost her memory, and she's trying to figure out who she is. It's going to be an interesting one. There's still 2 episodes left in the story. So if you're looking for a complete story, I would hold off for now. The first episode is $3.74 US dollars, with the season pass DLC being $5. Essentially $6. So it's not a terribly expensive game. And I will say that if you have trouble with point-and-click games, this may be one for you to pass on because there's not a lot of help out there. But there's also some people that talked about there being basically branching paths. So in the style of the old King's Quest series, even though I doubt it's that difficult, where you'll go to different endings based on what you do. So it may be for someone that has trouble with point-and-click games. Just go around and do different things and try to figure out how to progress.
Rub the things together until the door opens.
Essentially.
But yeah, it looks good. I'm looking into it. So my second game is Grass Simulator.
Oh boy.
Remember, this is a don't buy this. I saw Jim Sterling did a video on it in his, I can't remember if it was a Squirty Play or a Best of Steam Greenlight. I can't remember which one it was. But
well, wait. Before we go, define grass.
Grass that grows and
as in lawn or marijuana.
As in lawn.
Oh, okay. If it was marijuana, it'd probably be a bit more interesting.
It's basically a do nothing game. There are random things that spawn, like cows and maybe goats, that just kind of wander around in this field. And you can go shoot them or just stare at them. The map is extremely small. There's a little shooting range that isn't interactive. You can just shoot at it. And then it's got a couple of weird, really stupid Easter eggs that are kind of in the vein of Goat Simulator. And then there's a mode where you can sit and watch grass grow. That's it. That's the whole game. I just described to you the entire game. It's 99 cents, and unfortunately, I wouldn't play this game if they paid me $1 to play it. If instead of me paying $1 to play the game, they paid me $1, I still wouldn't play it. And surprisingly, it's got mixed reviews, but it's a lot of joke reviews.
So. Yeah, it's on the other end of the bell curve where it's actually gotten popular enough where the joke reviews are helping it.
Yeah. It's got a whole bunch of joke reviews.
This is one of those entries in the blank simulator where it's just a joke game. I'm looking at the more like this, and not GTA 5 is also there, which is another one of those.
Here's one. I like this one. I've been browsing through them here real quick. This is a positive, funny review. So many bugs, it's like an apartment in New York. It's like meth, but better. Half of the people that play it bought it as a joke when it was on sale. The other half were just plain stupid. Found a glitch that allows you to win, just in general. Makes other people rage quit within a few seconds. Only play with friends, unless you like bad dubstep a lot. 10 out of 10, must buy.
Let's just see what the cards are worth.
Probably not much. Or maybe they're worth a lot because
You'd
nobody
be surprised.
plays this game.
They are on average about 20 cents a pop.
Wow. So if it ever goes on sale for less than 50 cents, you probably should buy it. You could make some money off of it.
Yeah, that's just ridiculous. The fact that it has a 4-pack.
I don't have 4 people, well, 3 other people that I would want to subject to this garbage. All right, that's my list. You've still got your second one.
Okay, my second one is actually still a positive. I'm not the negative one this week.
Yeah.
Even though it's one that I haven't played recently. Okay. I remember playing a little bit of it ages ago. It's Titan Quest, an ARPG, so you'll hate it.
I actually own Titan Quest. I think I got it as part of a bundle, though.
Yeah, it's,
I've definitely never played it.
It was in a humble bundle somewhere. Probably the THQ bundle when they were trying to save the company after they decided that selling drawing pads was a good idea to console players that are not using a Wii.
Woo!
But the main thing Titan Quest has going for it is that it's not a fantasy game. It's not set in generic Togeria. It's actually set in ancient Greece. And from what I vaguely remember of it, it actually played fairly well. I know, that's a glowing review. But let's put it this way. It's better than Grass Simulator.
It's true. Even Evolve is better than Grass Simulator.
Barely. Evolve, our whipping boy.
Yep.
But Titan Quest is $3, or if you could get the gold edition, which has the expansion for $4. So it's not expensive, and it has a lot of gameplay in it. It's one of those ARPGs that goes on for quite a while.
I don't have anything else to say about it. It's an
Didn't expect you
ARPG.
to.
Probably not my jam. Well, I think that about wraps us up for this week, Rage.
Yes, I do believe it does.
You wanna take us away?
If I must. That wraps us up for our second episode of Video Game Logic. You can find us at videogamelogicpodcast.blog. I tried to read that too quickly. You can find us at videogamelogicpodcast at blogspot.com. And you can email us at vglpodcast@gmail.com with your letters, voicemails, and gaming-related topics. Our YouTube channels are Gaming Psychologist and Gaming with Caffeine Rage, and you can find us on Twitter at Gaming with CR and JMA4707. Our intro and outro music is On the Ground by Kevin MacLeod, and you can find his work at incompetech.com. Is there anything else?
I don't think so. Well, other than my signature. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye, David Spade.
Bye-bye. It was real quick. I had accidentally, when I was hooking our laptop up last night, I accidentally unhooked the Amazon Fire TV stick.
Ah.
So I had to put it back.